In this video, we're going to cover VM2 setup and usage. The VM2 from Dreamware Enterprises is a next-generation Sega Dreamcast VMU. This sucker is able to have basically infinite storage for Dreamcast games, has a nice backlit screen, built-in rechargeable battery, and is able to communicate with your PC to do some pretty cool stuff. And in this video, we're going to go over how to get it set up to use for your Sega Dreamcast. So let's go ahead and dive in. As we begin, there's a couple things you're going to need, the first of which being the VM2 itself, which are available on the DreamMod website. There might be time between production runs, so always be sure to check out the DreamMod's website and see when the next shipment is heading out, or if they are currently available. Next, you can have a micro SD card if you want to have infinite storage for your VM2. By default, the VM2 does work like an original VMU. It has internal storage that matches exactly with the original VMU. But if you want to take advantage of its virtual memory cards, a micro SD card is necessary, and 32 gigabytes is the limit for the VM2, so 32 gigs and under is perfectly acceptable. And finally, you are going to need an original Dreamcast controller, because the VM2 is currently not compatible with the Retro Fighters wireless controllers. This may change since I make this video, but as of making it, that is just where it is. And lastly, you are going to need just some VMUs or 4X memory cards or any other Dreamcast memory card to transfer saves from, if you have saves. If you don't have saves, cool deal. A Windows PC will also be needed to use the VM2 GUI. So first off, we're going to go ahead and get this micro SD card formatted into FAT32. If you have a 32 gig and under micro SD card, it should already be defaulted into that when you first buy it, but it's still a good idea to go ahead and just get it formatted just in case. So I've got my micro SD card inserted into my computer right now. So there we go. So on Windows, it's easy to get these formatted into FAT32 since they're under 32 gigs. Just right click on it, format, FAT32. Just going to leave everything on default here. And then just going to tell it to start. Formatting erases everything. Yeah, that's cool. We know that. Good stuff. All right. So now that that's formatted, we could go ahead and take it out and get it inserted into the VM2. Now to get the micro SD card inserted into the VM2, it has the pins facing the LCD screen here. So you just slide it in. And this is in there fairly deep. So you really got to push it in to make sure it goes in, just like so. And that is now set. With the micro SD card in place to power on the VM2, just make sure you've charged it with the included USB-C port for a bit, but then just hold down the power button. And you'll be brought to DC Visual Memory 2. And this works just like an original VMU, so you can access your game saves. See how much free space is on the either internal memory or your currently selected virtual memory card. If you have games installed on it, you can play those. I don't have any games on this at the moment. And then you can access the clock, but it will not be set correctly until you connect the VM2 to a computer and access their software. But anyway, so what we're interested in here is this button on the bottom. And this brings up the settings screen for the VM2. And under the settings screen, we can click on A to go into the memory tab here, and this lets us choose between using the VM2 in a standalone VMU format or using that micro SD card. So we want to use that micro SD card, that's the whole reason we put it in there. And once you select micro SD card, you are going to be brought to this screen, which will let you choose between any virtual VMUs that might be on the micro SD card. We don't have any right now, so we can just go ahead and create a test one real quick. Going back in, memory, micro SD, we can see it's selected, and then that new one.vmu is the currently selected card. I'll show you how to get more virtual VMUs on here in a little bit, but for now, that's just where we want to be. So now when we plug this in, it's going to be saving directly to and from the micro SD card slot, which is really nice. But going back into that settings screen here, you can see that there's a number of different options available. So we have screen options. So you can turn the backlight on or off depending on if you want to have an original-ish type experience. But, I mean, the backlight just makes it so nice. But then there's also a resolution selection here. So you can have it at 1 or 2 times resolution. So 1 will be pretty small, so definitely leave it on the 2x mode. And now this ghost mode, this one's pretty interesting. It more closely mimics the look of an original VMU screen instead of being a bit more crisp. So personal preference on if you like that or not. Next we have buzzer settings. So you can enable or disable the buzzer, enable or disable a startup beep, and then a test to make sure that the buzzer is actually working. And then just press B to get out of that anytime that you're interested. But anyway, system. So this one's really cool, game speed. So you can actually overclock the VMU to make the VMU games run faster. So 1 or 2 UX available. And then you can choose between regions here. And then the last option is GUI mode, and this is what we're going to need to connect it to a PC. So if you skipped ahead in the video to this point, you're going to press the button to go into your VMU settings, system, go into GUI mode, and now we can get this connected to a PC through USB-C. And we're going to go over a bunch more stuff with the included VM2 program. So now that we got our VM2 ready to connect to our computer, let's go ahead and download the VM2 software here. So over on the Dreamware Enterprises website, under the VM2 page, there's a download section. And this has our software and quick users manual, so just go ahead and download this file now. And once downloaded, get it extracted. Now go ahead and open up the folder. And inside you'll see a quick user's guide, as well as the VM2 GUI program. So go ahead and open this up. And if there's a new version available, go ahead and get that downloaded now. So just click on the little green bar here and then click on Software Update. Alright, now we have our software updated, and as you can see, it has connected directly to my VM2 because we already have it in GUI mode, so it's able to see the device and all the information related to it. Now, if for any reason you can't see your VM2, it doesn't show that it's connected on your PC, head over to the Utilities tab and install the USB driver. And say you may need to run it as administrator, that's fine. Just click on OK. And when you're brought to the driver setup screen, just click on Install. And then after that driver's done, you can just reset the program. And you should see your VM2 connected in GUI mode. So we're just going to perform a device update here real quick. So I actually updated mine the night before, but it's really easy to do. You'll get a notification here showing you that there is a new firmware update available. So just tell it to upgrade the VM2. And you'll be brought to a change list here so you can read the changes that have occurred throughout the lifetime of the VM2. So there's been a number of updates, which is really cool to see. But just go ahead and click continue on this when you're done reading through it. And you'll eventually be told to hold the mode button and press OK. So hold down the mode button on the face of your VM2 and then select OK. It will download the newest firmware update onto your VM2. So just be patient with it while it does its thing here. And once finished, go ahead and click on the refresh button up here in the upper right hand corner of the screen, showing you the connection status of your VM2. And there we go, our software and VM2 are now fully up to date. Let's go ahead and take a look at some of the stuff we can do inside the VM2 GUI. But anyway, the VM2 GUI is really cool. It lets you access a lot of good features for your VM2. So on the memory tab, if you're using the VM2's internal storage, you can back up and restore contents to it very quickly with these options. So you can read the internal storage, it'll show you the internal VMU. You can see there's nothing on it, we haven't saved anything. But you can restore a local VMU file to the internal memory, or you can back it up to a local VMU file. So I'm going to use some of my Dreamcast emulation VMUs just to demo this for you all today. So we're going to restore a local VMU file, and we're going to do Tony Hawk's Pro Skater A1. So it's going to copy that onto the internal VMU. And when we view the contents of our VM2, there it is. There's my Tony Hawk's Pro Skater career right there. And again, you can back this up at any point. So this lets you use the VM2 in a completely microSD free way. Now, if you do have a microSD card inserted, you can always explore the contents on that card as well. And if you want to restore any VMUs that you may have in emulation to your microSD card, you can do it simply by right-clicking, transfer to microSD. And you could add in virtual VMUs just like that. So a quick and easy way to add in your own emulated VMUs from Dreamcast emulators on PC to use on the VM2 on real hardware. And then of course you can always select these, back them back up to your PC, delete them, rename them, copy them, whatever you want. The next tab, screen, this is for streaming your VMU screen to your PC. So this is going to be really awesome for anyone that streams Dreamcast games regularly. Well, let's check out the utility tab here. So we already installed the USB driver, but you could create empty VMUs as much as you want. This will save it to your PC. And once the virtual VMU file is created, you can go ahead and edit it any way you want and then transfer it onto the VM2. Now, another interesting feature of the VM2 is to unlock an extra 41 blocks of memory space on VMU storage. Unfortunately, this option does not work for every game, and if it is checked, some games might not be able to see the VM2 at all until it is disabled. So it is something that you need to be aware of. And because of that, it's not an option I really want to mess with. I don't need that extra 41 blocks when I'm able to make per game memory cards as is. Now, another cool option is the VMU Explorer. So this is a more in-depth way of editing VMU files. So for example, we can open up any VMU, and I don't have a save on that one, so that's cool. Well, let's just open up another one. So I know I have a save on that Tony Hawk card, so there we go. But you can open up any virtual VMU cards that you want, just like so. And we're going to open up that test VMU again that we just created earlier. So there we go. But now we could copy all of these saves from various memory cards into a single one. So again, this is just a great option for managing per game saves as you see fit. Just like so. Then we could just save all the VMs. And again, under the memory card setting, we could go to Explore microSD card settings, transfer that, and we could copy it onto our VM2 as a selectable virtual memory card. As for the last options in this utility tab, the first of which being firmware update offline, this isn't something that you're really going to need to mess with unless something goes incredibly wrong with your VM2. So, okay. Then we also have factory reset, and then of course the software update that we performed earlier. But I'm going to go ahead and turn off GUI mode on my VM2 just by pressing the B button on the VM2. And now we're going to go ahead and search for a VM2 again. And you can see that now it is connected in stream only mode. So this is for when you want to stream that VMU screen to a PC. So I'm going to go ahead and get my Dreamcast turned on. And on the VM2, just going to get out of the settings menu real quick. Now you just need to remove this cap from the VM2. It's on there pretty tight. I've kind of broken mine in because it was really, really bad. But we're going to go ahead and get this plugged into our Dreamcast controller so we can begin showcasing some of that stream functionality. That's pretty cool. But there it is. Now it's in Dreamcast mode. And if we go back over to the VM2 GUI, you can see that the memory card screen is a mirror for what is showing up on the actual Dreamcast system. But to use the VM2 while it's hooked into a Dreamcast just involves using this little top button on top of the VM2. You just press on it and it'll bring up your virtual VMU list here. Now you just click and hold it to scroll through your list going down. And you let go when you get to the VMU you want. And if you need to scroll back up, you just hold it down again and it will scroll up. So holding it down goes down, and once you've gone down, holding it down goes up. But I'm going to go ahead and load up this Tony Hawk memory card that we copied over from my emulator real quick, just to give a brief example. Or not. So now I'm over the Tony Hawk memory card, so we're just going to tap on the button once to select it. And there we go. So now when we go into our File tab here, there's my 2 Tony Hawk saves from my PC emulator. So now the VM2 does work dynamically, so at any point you could press the button to change between different virtual memory cards, load one up, and as you can see, it takes effect in the VMU browser as expected. So here's that test VMU we worked on earlier, where we copied a bunch of save files in from various digital memory cards we had from Dreamcast emulation. Now let's discuss how to get your VMU and 4X memory cards, third-party memory card saves copied onto the VM2. If you want to do a per-game setup, you're going to need to create new VMUs for every single title. We're going to create a new virtual memory card here. It's going to be named new2.vmu. That's all right. And now I'm going to insert my Dreamcast VMU. All right, there's the one I want to copy saves from. So this is my main Dreamcast VMU here. So we're just going to begin copying everything over to the VM2. So we're going to start with Army Sarge's Heroes here. So we're going to copy that over to our first new virtual memory card. Now on the VM2, we're just going to go ahead and create another new virtual memory card here. And now copy over my Dead or Alive 2 save. And I'm just going to repeat the process for all of my non-copy protected saves here. You can see the ones in red are actually copy protected, and we're going to go over how to copy those in just one moment. All right, and there are all the saves from my main VMU copied over to my VM2 into individual memory cards. But again, that doesn't include these red copy protected saves. So let's go ahead and get these ones copied over now as well. So to transfer our copy protected saves, we are going to need Dream Explorer. So I'm going to link to Dreamcast Live's website here, as it has a mirror for Dream Explorer, and I trust this website. So we're just going to scroll down here to grab Dream Explorer, VMU Tool 0.85, and we're going to tell it to download. Now, if you have a Dreamcast modded with a GDEMU or a Terra Onion mode or any other optical drive emulator, you could just copy this image onto that and launch it. But if you are using an unmodded Dreamcast that has a physical disk drive in it still, you are going to need to burn this. And Dreamcast Live does have a version of Image Burn that is ready to run CDI images through it, so you could download this as well if needed. You are of course going to need a blank CD as well as a physical burner to do this method, but it's the one I'm going to be showcasing today. So with Image Burn downloaded, we're just going to get that extracted. And then Dream Explorer, going to get that extracted as well. So again, if you have an optical drive emulator, just drop this CDI image anywhere onto that where you can load it. But again, we're going to be burning this one, so we're just going to go ahead and open up Image Burn DC. And from here, you can install Image Burn, and then you'll also install the Dreamcast plugin. So we already have Image Burn downloaded, so I'm just going to install the Dreamcast plugin to my current install of Image Burn, which I already have installed. Awesome, good stuff. So again, just run that, then run that, and you're good. But we're going to go ahead and select that Dream Explorer image file to burn it to a disk. And now I'm just going to pop in a blank disk. So I've got my blank disk inserted. And remember, rule of thumb for writing disks, always use the lowest possible supported speed just to get the most accurate write possible. So my drive's slowest speed is 16x. So I'm just going to select 16x here. And now we're just going to tell it to write the image file to disk. And we're going to go ahead and skip ahead till this finishes. Now that the disk is finished burning, we're just going to go ahead and close out of this and get the disk inserted into our Dreamcast system. And once the disk loads, just press any button to continue. And then you can select a default theme. I guess we'll go with PSO here. So now I'm going to create a new VMU that I want to copy my copy protected saves onto. And once that has been created and selected, just going to tell Dream Explorer to open up a VMU. Now I'm going to select my main VMU here. Now press A on File Manager. And we're going to start with my PSO saves. So we're going to move this to another VMU. So we're going to select the VM2. Press Start to copy it over. And we're going to choose our copy protected system data here. We're going to tell it to copy it to another VMU. And press start to begin the copy. Now our copy protected PSO save has been moved over to the VM2, so we need to do the same thing with Soul Calibur. So once again, going to create a new virtual VMU. Going to select my main memory card again, File Manager. Going to go down to Soul Calibur. We're going to copy it to the VM2. And press start. And there we go. So another copy protected save now moved over to the VM2. So you can use this program to copy all of your VMU saves if desired, but it's not necessary when you can just copy everything over from the Dreamcast BIOS except for those copy protected saves. But if you're interested, you can also get some saves off of this Dream Explorer CD. So if you click on the Open CD option, see that there's a lot of different options in here. So one of which being VMU saves. And so by going into these, you can see that number of included saves if you're interested. But just go ahead and repeat these processes for all of your saves on different VMUs that you want to get transferred over to the VM2. And once you've finished it, we could go ahead and clean up our virtual memory card namings, because creating new ones directly from the VM2 just calls them new VMU 1, 2, etc. So we're going to go ahead and just turn off the Dreamcast at this point. Going to take the VM2 out of the Dreamcast controller and re-enable GUI mode. So in the VM2 GUI, we're just going to refresh this. There we go. Now under the memory setting tab, explore micro SD contents. Just going to delete some of the ones I don't need anymore. There we go. So now we can just go through and begin renaming these, and do note that there is a file character limit of about 8 characters. And if you can't remember which saves you put on which card, that's okay. You could just save them to your computer. And then you can load them up into the VMU Explorer and see what was actually on that card. I'm just going to go through and do that for all of my VMUs here. And there we are. There's all of my original console saves now backed up to the VM2 in individual memory card files. But now to verify that these PSO saves actually work, we're going to go ahead and select our PSO VMU here. And I don't remember if this save was for the first one or the second one, so we're going to try both here real quick just to make sure. Alright, so here we are at Phantasy Star Online. So just have the VM2 screen up there streaming from the VM2 just for funsies there, so you can see that it works really well. But we're going to continue. And there is my Phantasy Star Online save. So there we are. Now I'm able to continue on PSO through the VM2, so that way I never have to worry about running out of space on this guy. And just to verify Soul Calibur here, it did load up as we have Huang unlocked. I don't have very much progress in this game, unfortunately, but the save did transfer successfully. So very good. And just another example of that VMU screen streaming working up there, so very cool. But that's the basic process for getting the VM2 set up and running on unmodded Dreamcast systems. Unfortunately, if you have a Terra Onion mode, you are also going to be doing manual selections and save copies just like this. But if you happen to have open menu for a GDEMU, The VM2 can do per memory card saves and create virtual memory cards and automatically select them. Unfortunately, I don't have one of those, so I can't exactly show it off. But for those of you with GDEMU and Open Menu, that is a very nice option that is available to you. Otherwise, it's just a bit more of a manual type card here. It's not a bad thing. It's not overly complicated, thankfully, but automatic's nice, especially when you're used to MemCard Pros. But I figured I'd close this video out just by leaving you with some initial thoughts I have of the VM2. So overall build quality is really nice. It feels like an official VMU. It's got a good weight to it, even with an internal battery. It's about the same as the original VMU. So the screen itself is smaller vertically compared to the original VMU, but that's okay. So on the original VMU, the icons for game saves and all that were up here. So on the VM2, since it has to use less vertical space, the actual VMU screen is more of a box in the middle here, and you can see the icons are now on the side, so it's a nice little trade-off. Controller compatibility I wish could be better. I wish this worked on the wireless striker, but original controller only for now. We'll have to see if Retrobit's controllers will work with this guy or not, but let you know when that actually comes out. As for physical buttons, A, B, mode, and power here all feel very similar to the original VMU. The D-pad is a bit more mushy. It doesn't exactly roll like the original. It kind of just sinks in. So you're going to have to be very deliberate with button presses if you use this thing for mini games versus the original VMU where it does have more of a roll to it. Now, as for things that I'm a bit disappointed by, this cap is just a huge pain. I've finally worked it into a position where you can actually pull it off, but when you first open this box, it's really, really tight. I'm also a bit disappointed that we can't do direct VMU to VM2 transfers with saves by connecting the two. I have not gotten that to work. It always just never registers that the VM2 is connected. Not sure if others have that issue, but that is an issue with mine. So do be aware of that. And the last thing is that the price is extremely high. Now, this is an enthusiast option. It is made by a single creator, so all that dev time, they definitely deserve to be paid for their work, but it is an investment, so do be aware of that. But overall, very happy with this so far. I'm really looking forward to diving into some longevity tests with this over the next year or so. And if anything really, messes up with it, I'll be sure to let you know, but so far it's solid. Copy protected saves are working on it, and I've been loving it. It's really easy to use. Well, that's going to do it for this video. Again, the VM2 is a very cool thing to have for the Dreamcast, considering its limited save space. And while the 4X memory card is available, it's never been ideal to me. I like having the VMU screen, even if it doesn't do much in most games. I still like having it. It's part of the Dreamcast experience, and I've always found that unique aspect to it to be very pleasing. But here at the end, the usual favors to ask. Thumbs up, thumbs down, depending how much you like today's video. And be sure to hit that sub button and notification bell if you want to see more videos that come out on this channel, because more is always on its way, and I'd love to have you watch it. If you're interested in further helping support the channel, please be sure to check out that join button here on YouTube or the Patreon link in the bottom right-hand corner of the screen, as any little bit helps keep us going and bringing content just like this to all of you. Big shout out to all of our current backers. Thank you, as always, for believing in what we do here and helping us keep it going. True champs. But until next time, my wonderful internet peeps, you all stay awesome, keep on gaming, and we'll see you back next video.